The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to In Studio with Kimberly Lovi, where mindset meets motherhood, media meets mogul energy, and every episode feels like a front row seat to the life you're meant to lead. The podcast where ambition meets authenticity and we make success look oh so good, all while having lots of laughs. I'm Kimberly Lovi, wife, mom of three, founder of Iconic Nation Media, and the CEO who's been there, built that, all while chasing toddlers and even making an occasional appearance on the tennis courts. This show is your front row seat to the real talk behind building a brand, raising a family, and becoming the most iconic version of you. We cover business, mindset, motherhood, media, and all the messy moments in between. Every week, I'm joined by visionaries, creators, and changemakers who aren't afraid to share the unfiltered magic behind their come up. This isn't just a podcast. This is your all-access pass to finally play big. Let's play boldly, beautifully, and unapologetically together. So grab your matcha, fix that crown, and get ready to step into the studio. In Studio with Kimberly Lovi, because your next level has been waiting, and it's fabulous. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kimberly Lovi, and I am here joined by my friend, Mike Bakaic. Welcome to my podcast, Mike.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we met because our wonderful friend and mutual client, Scott Woods, I always want to call him Scott Wood. It's Scott Woods. Just had you on his podcast, and you really piqued my interest. And so I poached you. So thank you for joining again.
My pleasure. Yes. I love talking about sales and leads. So
know.
I'm glad that piqued your interest because
yes,
that's what I love talking about all the time.
Yes. And that's exactly what I feel like a lot of people, you hear a lot about leads, but nobody really explains it, or at least not to me, like not in a way that really lands. You know who comes the closest is Alex Hormozi.
I'm familiar.
Are you
Let
obsessed?
me look directly at the camera and saying, yes, I'm a huge Hormozi head. I am a proud member of Mosey Nation. Yes. I have stood in front of his office hoping that he comes out. That hasn't happened yet, but
wait, I
love
got
the
chills.
books.
I'm like manifesting that I'm making it there.
Heck yeah.
So don't go without me.
Well, I'll be there in 2 weeks.
If you go, I go.
But
seriously?
Well, I have another client event in 2 weeks, and the hotel I stay at in Vegas is Palace Station, which is across the street from acquisition.com's office. So I'll be looking at it.
Wait, you're going to stalk him? No, I'm going to go to be like one of those people that he wants to try and invest in. Like I'm going to be in. Like I'm going to be on the inside, like, and I'll wave to you.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Or maybe I'll bring you in.
I can hold your bag. I can carry your water bottle. I'll do anything that you need me to do.
Those are all solid skills, and
I'll be your, I can wear sunglasses. I'll be your bodyguard.
Okay, that works. That works. Right. That's awesome.
I'll open doors for you.
So we'll sneak you in too. So Alex Hormozi is part of the reason why I'm restructuring my company. And I think the reason why I want to bring this forward to my audience and not just keep it a private conversation is because I want to peel back the layers for people out there that don't really understand leads. Like, we can talk about the quadrants. When you started talking about that, I was like, I wonder if he is a Hormozi head. Is that what we call them?
Yeah. That's literally where I got it from.
Okay.
I've learned pretty much everything that has taken me from being terrible at running a business to being pretty decent at running a business from his 4 books.
Yes.
4th book, Gym Launch Secrets, often overlooked, also gold.
I haven't read that one.
Those 4 books, like the newest one that just came out, is still unopened in the DHL package that I got from the...
It's in my bag right now. Should we just get it? Wait, hold on. I'm just going to go
bring the props out. Beautiful. $100 million money models. The newest book launched on 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
August 16th. It was 105.
August 16th. Alex's birthday for all the weird stalkers out there is August 19th.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's 4 months older than I am.
Oh, wow. And this book actually generated $105 million for him so far and counting. Right. So we have a lot to share. So I am just getting into the leads, understanding leads. So typically with my business, it's word of mouth. And I am so grateful for that. I love just getting to attract people into my business through my podcast. I talk to my audience all about how great podcasting is to attract your leads. That is my free lead magnet in many ways, in addition to other, free lead magnets on my website, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have that much experience with like cold leads. I've never had to do it. But now that I'm in a studio here in Westlake Village, I'm like, you know what? I need to make sure everybody within a 5-mile radius knows about my wonderful, beautiful studio so I can help them and I want to elevate them. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe the 4 quadrants, and then when you look at the business model that I have, like a local business owner that's usually word of mouth, but now has a brick and mortar and they want to dominate their local market. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's start there. Before we talk about the core 4 leads, tell us your offer. Like I asked when we first met,
yes.
Tell me your best client transformation, because that's the best way to tell me about your offer. You have a couple different verticals that you're running right now, but let me just tell me the one that you want to focus on for this conversation. I'm going to dive into that.
Okay. So in general, just for everybody out there to be clear, I work with high-performing entrepreneurs, celebrities, and professional athletes. Love that. Where I think there's the most opportunity locally is high-performing entrepreneurs, because where we are is we're just outside of Los Angeles, and there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of just either people in the film and media or sports industries in general. And there's other people that are just really high profile, for example, real estate agents that serve those people. So to me, they're all the echelon of people that I like to work with, that I feel that I can help the most.
Okay, beautiful. I always love going high end. I always love that. There's no strategic value to being cheap. There's always a strategic value to going overboard high ticket. So that's a great component of the recipe so far. Mm-hmm. What's the transformation that you would take them on?
Yeah. So what I love to do is help high-performing entrepreneurs, professional athletes, and celebrities own their impact. What do I mean by that? So the world has changed. A lot of people out there that have been, let's start with the celebrity. They have been traditionally run by the film, heads, right? So the studios, they haven't been able to own their content. Many of them don't know their metrics if they own a podcast or whatever. So there's been very little ownership and transparency. And what happens is, let's just say that there is a celebrity that wrapped a show, and before they know it, it's been many seasons of them not having that consistent work. And so they realize it is time for me to launch my own personal brand, because I have the audience, I have the brands. How come I don't just step into that myself? But what happens is they don't know how to do all of this and produce everything. So the big transformation is we basically help them transfer their skills, their audience, everything that they've built, and for the first time ever, own their impact. So how do we do that? Through podcasts, through omni-channel approach of social, through YouTube, etc.
What's the end goal that you're trying to get them towards?
The end goal is to help them authentically connect with their audience and transfer over their relationships with brands based on their celebrity that they've already built.
Okay. I think that's a definitely the important thing to fixate around, is the outcome for them is to monetize
make money.
This,
it's right? Helping people make money that otherwise are not able to do so. Okay.
So, in some way you could say that you're building their influence, like you're turning them into influencers. They used to be influencers for entertaining purposes. Mm-hmm. Now you're making them financially an influencer.
Right. Because what happens when their show or their season, and you guys can imagine as you're listening and watching, whether it is a celebrity or whether it is an athlete, it's the same idea of, I was doing something that brought me a lot of money, and now that thing ended because maybe I'm an injured athlete. Maybe I was on the show Friends and, that show wrapped. Now what? It's that next step.
Okay. Where's the crossover between like the small business angle and this let's call them celebrity, because the athlete celebrity, the film student.
Exactly. So I like to think of my business as, and this is important, I'm sharing this because I'm hoping that for folks watching and listening, you can assess who your target market is. So I kind of bifurcate them. I think of one major audience member or ideal customer is a celebrity or athlete, somebody that already has an audience. It can also be an influencer. It doesn't matter. Just think somebody that has an audience. And that is one approach. And that's a different approach than the entrepreneur that wants more business. They're doing great, but they just want to elevate themselves. For example, I won't name the names, but there is a very high-end real estate agency around here, and the founders want to launch a podcast because they understand the value, which is I get to sell myself by, one, maximizing my time. So when we make podcasts, you're maximizing your time in the sense that you're going to get 60 pieces of content off of this. So one, I'm going to make really good use of my time. And I also am going to get to use it to network. So if I'm here selling houses or maybe even something bigger in the commercial space, I might invite a developer into join me on my podcast to sit with me and talk about them. And at the end of the day, it's a networking tool. So there's real value for entrepreneurs, and it's different. And I always talk about this, but just to share with you is we're very clear that it's not so much that they even care how well the podcast does directly. It's not that they're necessarily trying to make money off of the podcast, although we do that also through ads. But what they're really doing is they're using it as part of their sales funnel. So
it's a means to the end.
It is. All you're doing is you're using it to convert people into paid audience members through your offering, whatever your it thing is that you do.
Okay. So when we want to talk about leads now, do you want to talk about the celebrity angle?
Let's talk about the entrepreneur one, because I think that's going to be more helpful.
Okay. I love that. Package me the offer. I find the best offers have defined boundaries of when someone gets the outcome and what the outcome is.
Yes.
Like doing a podcast is not the outcome. This is your means to the end. With the celebrities, it'd be like signing an endorsement deal for X company. That's an outcome. The podcast is how you warm them up to get there. How do you see that for the entrepreneurs?
So the entrepreneurs, what we do is, first of all, as part of our initial discovery, I make sure I understand the goal up front. I'm always meeting with my clients up front to talk about two things that are the least sexy part of all of it, which is one, what is your actual goal? Is it a hobby, or are you trying to get brand deals? Are you trying to promote your business? So that's one, is I need to understand the goal. Right? Because we're going to work backwards, right, into how we structure everything. So then they say, okay, I'm a real estate agent. Let's just go with that because it's a very simple example. So we'll walk the real estate agent through. I'm a real estate agent. Market's tough. I just want more business and I don't have a lot of time and I'm hoping podcasting will help me in some way. Okay, great. Excellent. So then I try and we assess, when I say it's me and my team, we assess what pieces of their sales funnel are already in place. Do you already have a website? Do you already have a public social media? Do you have a social media team? Wherever there's gaps, we pinpoint those and we fill the gaps. And what's great is the big promise is we launch your podcast, and in launching your podcast, we're launching your brand, but we do it within 30 days. And if we need it sooner, we can actually get it sooner.
Okay.
So that's the first big promise. That's huge. As somebody that has struggled launching a podcast, you have one, correct? We know that there's real value just in launching a podcast in a short period of time and doing it in a very, hopefully, enjoyable fashion. We also will go through an exercise of doing ad insertion for your business. So how do you take your client? So if you're the real estate agent, I want to make sure we are having calls to action to invite the listeners to work with them. So maybe the immediate next step, as one example of the sales funnel, is you're on, they're listening to the real estate agent's podcast, and then we insert an ad that invites them to get the free download of the current market trend, or what interest rates mean for you, or a free, whatever, we come up with a free lead magnet that's compelling, that's really juicy. And I know you can break those down. Okay. So then we're building their email list, email sequences, et cetera, right? So we go through that whole process with them. And the way I would explain it, and the way I like to explain the function of podcasting in a sales funnel role is that, okay, so social media is like an awareness, right? It's like, okay, people become aware of you. They know you exist. Kimberly Lovi, podcasting, cool. Now what? Like, I don't know. Okay, whatever. I see your content. Okay, you know what you're talking about. Great. Oh, she has a podcast. I actually want more. Like that little snippet. Okay, that works. So now they're in the world of Kimberly Lovi's podcast. Great. That's all free, right? Then we have to make sure that we are consistently producing high quality content that is impactful, because why? You're building know, like, and trust. And over a series of sales funnel conversions, the idea is that you take them from cold lead all the way to warm, and you're warming them up until you convert them. So that's kind of the function that podcasting has, is that especially for women, but really for anyone out there in a sales role or a business owner, someone that hates to, cold sell, podcasting is amazing because you are attracting, it's attraction marketing, right? You're attracting people in, and it's deeper than social media. So we're very specific about what is the goal, because we are going to set up your content pillars around your goal. So if your goal is to attract more real estate people into your life, whether they are, just consumers that are shopping or developers or whatever, we make sure we get crystal clear and very specific about what it is you're trying to achieve, so that all of your content is attracting that person.
Right.
So it's very intentional.
Right.
So part of the reason why I launched the studio was, one, because there was nothing like it that served my clients, but also something Alex Hormozi said. And this goes back, this will kind of tie a neat bow over the strategy. He talked about, and he broke it down by numbers, as he always does. And in fact, I was packing. I remember listening to this as we were packing when we were on a trip, and it hit me. But he basically said, let's just say if you have, his numbers were different, but for our market, there's 30,000 people that actually live in our community. And his analogy and his analysis was, if you capture 1% of your local market times your revenue, so for us, that's 3,000 times whatever the revenue for our different offers, but it's four figure, let's just say, you have $1 million business. So his point is like, just dominate your local market and you have a 7-figure business.
You're saying in comparison to going outside of,
in comparison to just haphazardly, like global and scale.
No,
and
yeah.
So this goes directly back to our conversation about leads. So once I understood that, built my studio, right? Now we've built the studio, great. We have our offers dialed in, great. Now our next step as a business, as a local business owner, is to start running ads to our landing pages, so that more local people know about us, so that we can dominate the local market, serve them, because there's nothing in this local market like this studio, which I'm so grateful for. And so my question, this was a whole lot of context for everybody, so thank you. My question is, how do you go about generating cold leads digitally, specifically? Because there's warm leads, there's all that stuff. I feel like I'm very good on the warm lead thing. What are your thoughts on anything from sales funnels to just lead strategy, tactical tools that you like to use? Like, what would you advise us if you are now coming in and advising my company?
I'll answer your question, then I'll ask my own question about why. Okay. Digital, if you want to go cold, which means you don't know them and they don't know you, and you want to do that digitally, you can... There's outbound and inbound. Your own podcasting strengths are the way to drive inbound leads digitally. So you can just make video content. Like, you're selling sex on wheels here. This all looks great. So make video content about this stuff and post it. The best content you'll make should probably be your client transformation stories, because that's what people will want to see as the outcome that they desire.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the real estate agent, you'll want to do like your behind the scenes of the real estate agent here, what their website looked like before, what their website looked like now, what their lead flow looked like before, which is going to be hard for you to capture, but that will be the crux of it, because that's your offer to them as leads, really. Try and make content like that. That's your one-to-one warm, because if they're connected with you, they're warm. And you're either doing that on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn might be the way to do it if you want to get the business owner angle.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you want to go cold, you're talking ads.
Yep.
Like Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. Ads are pretty much the number one thing. The other cold one to many would be direct mail campaigns, cold calling. I'm not sure if that's how you want to do it, because I think those are going to step further away from your strength, which is the visual impact of your offer. Because the visual components, your value is visual, not only in the delivery, but in the promotion of it.
Yes.
Like if you showed a picture of this, someone's going to say, that looks awesome. If you showed a picture of me on this recording, someone else would be like, I wish I had that. So the more you can get that out there, the better. So that would be like Facebook video ad, LinkedIn video ad, Instagram for sure. Like those are the right communication channels to consider. The question would be, is your target ideal client profile on those channels? And you just have to maybe experiment and then make a judgment call. Definitely LinkedIn if you're talking to high net worth business owners, definitely. Or otherwise you just have to hunt down where they are and meet them there. And then put sexy videos of you doing behind the scenes for other people. That will at least capture their attention. So that would be like your first attraction. I'm staring right at the book of this. We can dive into that. But before I mansplain some of this to you, which I told you in the beginning, the reason that the context is good is because these are just recipes, universal recipes that could work for anyone. The context helps to make sure that you're choosing the right things that you think work for you. Definitely not what I think, because I just met you today. And for half of our relationship together, I thought your name was Bridget. So which was my fault.
A hilarious inside joke we'll never, ever let go of.
Watch the previous podcast.
So funny.
Okay, yeah. So before we dive more into that, tell me more about the offer, because you don't want to sell the means to the ends, right? The means are cheaper than the ends. So you don't want to sell the means to the ends, because then you're underselling yourself. And of equal importance, the client, if they buy the tools, they have to do all the work and they're not an expert in it. So don't sell them the tools, because our jobs are to solve their problems in exchange for money.
Yep. We
can solve their problems. So don't sell them access to the tools. Just use the tools for them.
Right.
The podcast is still a means to the end. I want to soak in that more. Like, let's say the real estate agent is a good ideal client profile, ICP. What's the end goal for them? And tell me that, agnostic of the podcast, what's the end goal for them?
So the end goal for them, and this is not from my opinion, this is from what I hear every single day. The main pain point that I would say unanimously, regardless of the bucket that you're in, but every single client of mine or prospective client has the same issue. I am afraid to be on video. I don't know what to say. I'm awkward in front of the camera, but it's hurting my business not to. And I now recognize that. Everybody else is out there in the world, and I don't know how to structure high quality content. I don't know how to produce it. And I'm just overall not confident or comfortable in general putting myself out there. I need help.
So this would be, if I understand correctly, then your ICP is a real estate agent that has already made up their mind to have more of a social media presence, but doesn't know how to do it. Because that would be different than just a real estate agent that wants to make more money.
Yeah. So usually what happens is it might be a mix of people where they're not 100%. So like I literally got this 2 days ago. They're not 100% even comfortable, quote unquote, admitting that they are ready to be in the spotlight. There's all this like almost like shame or guilt about that, which is super weird. But when I give them permission and I reinforce and remind them that if you are not in front of people, they cannot buy from you. And I just simply remind them, it's not a sales pitch. It's just the facts. The reality is if people don't, I say to them, let me ask you something. If I don't know you exist, how can I buy your service?
You search for it on Google and you pay the most competitive pricing to get their influence.
Yes.
That's it. That's the answer.
Yeah. So sometimes they need a little gentle encouragement, but at the end of the day, we all know the game at this point. It speaks for itself. The name of the game is and guys, this is really important for marketing. It's not complicated. So if you're a finance person or not in media, you're going to understand this. Marketing comes down to one thing, which is it's all about being in front of your ideal audience, whatever platform they're on. Okay. And Gary Vee talks a lot about this. 20 years ago, it was you have to be on cable television, newspaper, magazines, radio. Now, fast forward today, if you are not on every single major social media platform, including YouTube, by the way, you are not where your audience is. And that could be LinkedIn, it could be TikTok, it could be any one of the platforms, which is why his strategy is be everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's a separate conversation.
Right.
The point is that marketing comes down to attention, period. So right now it's this, right?
Video, definitely. Mm-hmm. The podcast, long form podcast, I think works for some people. I'm a little bit cool on the omnipresence thing because I feel like people get diluted then, and then they just do everything very poorly instead of one thing pretty decent.
Yeah, and there's strategies around.
Yeah, I would pick your battles.
Yeah, like Alex Hormozi talks about that. He actually does talk about like do one platform really well or spread yourself. That's almost like a whole other part of the discussion, which we should dive into on a later date. But the point is that you need to be in front of your audience to sell it, period.
Okay. So again, back to your offer. The offer is for real estate agents
yes.
that have the switch has already flipped in their mind where they say, I need to use social influence
yes.
to drive more leads.
That's right.
Okay. Because it's important for me to make that distinction in my understanding, because otherwise you're competing against Google ads, right? If they're saying, I need leads, you're competing against every way that they could get leads, which would be bus signs and lawn signs
right.
and benches.
Yeah.
But if you're just for now at least narrowing down to the real estate agents that have already made their own personal commitment to use social media to get leads,
right,
then at least you can have a different offer.
Or they know they need to be and they haven't quite done it yet. For example, even Scott at ITS.
Yeah.
He had a social media presence for ITS. The problem is there's a disconnect. When you have random cartoons, like just performance-wise, I actually have clients and data that support this, but having cartoons is not nearly as compelling as having a face that is providing value consistently over video. And I have data that supports the difference with specific clients, which I can't share on this show.
For his audience, which is important.
Not even just
for him. If he was selling to kids, it would be cartoons.
Well, that's a different niche. But
Yeah.
if you are an adult selling adult services, and I have publicly traded companies where I have very large data sets and very large budgets that support what I'm talking about, I can show you offline the analytics possibly. But the point is face and video is always going to win when you're selling to other adults. That's the bottom line.
Okay. So we're talking, how do you quantify the value you deliver for them? I would guess you're not quantifying it in number of podcasts, but you want to tie it to this outcome of helping them grow their business. How do you get into that?
Yeah. So it really depends on the exact scope. So there's some nuances here, but we go really deep into social media analytics. Super powerful because they're compelling. I mean, the transformations across different platforms it would blow your mind. So some of that data is really what will reinforce that, okay, the awareness piece of this is really building, right? And then honestly, after that, I'm going to stick with the local because again, we work with publicly traded companies, and so this gets far more detailed, but I'm going to stay away from that discussion right now. I'm just going to keep it really simple for the simple entrepreneur. At the end of the day, they know it doesn't take a lot of data and sophistication to know, hey, real estate agent, since you started your podcast 15 episodes ago, have you received any new clients? It's just, it's that simple for them, right?
Can you tie into some, like you tie into the social media analytics, you get website visitor traffic from them too? Because I feel like
it depends.
If you can make that part of your offer, like I will do all of this, but I'll need from you, I need to track your Facebook, your Instagram, your Google search results, and your website traffic.
Yes. So we get very sophisticated with this when we are dealing with larger scale clients, especially.
Okay. But what about the real estate agent?
The real estate agent, not really. It's a lot more simple, to be honest. It's a lot, and I'm just speaking very practically here. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate what actually happens. What actually happens in a practical sense is the real estate agent knows that if they have attracted people into their world through their podcast, because the people will tell you. Again, for our globally traded, publicly traded,
grab into that, your offer would be even better for them, because I struggle with the same thing. Everyone struggles with this. Is at some point they're going to accuse you of vanity. They're going to say, this podcast thing's not working. It's not working. But if you say, no, before us, you had X number of website visitors.
Right.
Or whatever the metric you can get to the closest to them making money. Like lead attribution is what you're after here. They may not have that level of sophistication, but if you agree with them on the front end, we're going to drive more website visitors.
Yes.
If more, or Google clicks, Google My Business profile visitors, anything that way, you're crystal clear on what your outcome is. Your outcome is, I'm going to 10x your website traffic in a way that makes you feel great and cool and everyone likes you. But whatever, I'm going to drive 10x website traffic. And that's worth X number of dollars per month.
So quantifying, and this is great. This is something that other people also, regardless of your niche, because I just had this with a coaching client of mine where her issue was that she was getting spread too thin and not able to scale. And I said, you need to be able to tighten your scope and have like a clearer box around what it is you offer and provide. And I think that's this is what you're reinforcing for my business, which I think is great.
Yeah, because if you said that to them, like if the offer was, for real estate agents in LA County, we're going to 10x your website traffic, and we're going to do that through this.
Organic, not paid.
Right. But the outcome is that, because then they can say, okay, if I were to pay Google for those leads, it would be 5 times the amount of money.
That's
so this sounds compelling. And then you can very clearly manage expectations of your value delivery. It would be great if you were able to say, I'm going to get you 5 new clients, like done deals. I try and do that with Scott, but there are so many more steps to that process, like the client's closing ability and stuff. That's hard to do, but at least if you think your sweet spot is, this part I'm just making up, but if you think your sweet spot is website traffic visitors, that would be how I would package the offer. In comparison, for Scott, my clients are managed IT service companies. I bring them first appointments. So I'm a cold outbound motion. I'm bringing them first appointments of people in their ideal client profile that are pre-qualified because I did some qualification in my cold outreach. I book Scott first appointments, 5 per month. That's the offer. I would love to close him new business, but that's a much bigger problem to solve, and I haven't gotten that far yet. I would love to do that, but I haven't gotten that far. So right now, the offer is X number of meetings, 5 cold first-time appointments per month. That's it. And I know how much it's worth to him, and I know the typical closer rate, so that's how I sell the offer. But I like having that like really crystal,
tight.
Right, because then otherwise, like he cannot accuse me of vanity. I'm going to say, Scott, whatever I'm going to do a golf tournament, I'm going to do cold call, I'm going to do my mailers, whatever I choose to do is my business. As long as I keep delivering 5 per month, you're happy, right? Yes. Same with you. Like if you say, I'm going to make sure that from now on, it's going to be 10 times the amount of website traffic. We're going to try LinkedIn, we're going to try Instagram, we're going to try YouTube, but whatever, we're going to make you look sexy. We're going to put you on whatever we need to do, but I'm going to 10x. As long as we keep 10xing your website traffic, you're happy to pay, right? Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Because I think that's both of us we have to always have that nice crystal thing to combat the accusation of vanity. Like, it's not working. I know, because that's the easiest thing with lead gen and sales. It's not working. Well, okay, but we agreed that I would do X, and we're doing X.
Right.
Okay, so at least you know that I'm doing what you paying me to do. There may be other problems.
Right,
in sales
right.
funnel. Like,
Yeah.
you don't show up showered to the showing for this house. Okay,
Right.
that's on you, man.
Right. No, and I appreciate that, because there's only certain things that we can control.
Right. They're only paying you to solve certain problems.
Right.
And absolutely, we can solve more of their problems, because that's how we make more money. We make more
Right.
money
That's
by either
right.
solving more problems
That's
or
right.
bigger problems.
That's right.
But we got to be crystal clear on what problem it is. Otherwise, they'll think you're solving all the problems,
Right.
which they're not paying you to do, and then they'll blame you and then stop paying you.
You know, you mentioned something that I think is really important, and I feel like our company does a pretty good job. Now, there's always room for more and more opportunities, so let's be clear. But you mentioned something that I do want to touch on, which is getting more from existing clients. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We both learned from the same book. To make more money, you either get more clients or make more from the same clients. And by make more, I don't mean in a predatory way. I mean solve more of their problems.
That's right.
Okay, so in my personal example with my clients, initially in my business, I was selling a low ticket product that helped them a little bit, but I had a ton of mouths to feed, and I wasn't very profitable. And I got to a certain plateau where there were more mouths to feed than I wanted to deal with. So that's when I started looking at the rest of the problems that they have to deal with and just picking the next one in my like chain of pain that their lives are for, like for Scott. And I just picked the next one and bundled that into the offer and made a bigger offer. Now I make 25 times the amount of money from a client. I have to do 25 times the amount of work, but I can make the same amount of money with 25 times less clients, or with the same number of clients, 25 times the amount of money. Now they're not mouths to feed. They're feeding me. Right. So
that's so great.
Definitely this is something that every business owner, and like even when you're talking to me about the difference in your experiments between the celebrities and the local business owners, my mind always gravitates towards solve the biggest problem.
Right.
Solve their biggest problem. You charge the most amount of money.
Right.
There's always a strategic advantage to being the highest end provider.
Right.
Because the highest end provider, you can build sets like this. If you were $100 per month podcasting, you'd be doing it over Zoom. You're not attracting NFL stars with Zoom podcasting. But you show them this, and they'd say, yeah, I'd do that. I'd pay $15,000 a month for that. So that I always want to solve the biggest problems.
Right.
Go overboard. Because if you solve the biggest problems, you can charge the most amount of money, which means you deliver the most value.
Right.
And the person that delivers the most value wins.
100%. And Alex Hormozi, since we're just going to reference him the whole time, I guess here, which is fine for me. I reference him all the time anyway, so my audience is probably used to it. Yes, we are. Yes, we're groupies together. But he basically says the problem is when you sell based on price, and he says it in his way. But in summary, what he's saying is it's a race to the bottom. So if you're going to go on price, like meaning I want to be the cheapest, if you take that approach, the problem is with that business model is you're racing to the bottom. And what happens is the quality of what you can deliver suffers because why? You don't have the ability to hire the best of the best. So he says it is better to sell kind of that upper echelon, higher ticket, white glove. He doesn't use these words, I'm paraphrasing. And the reason is because when you sell to, in his mind, he says rich people or sell higher ticket items, you're able to deliver because now I can hire better people. I can bring more value because I have more of that profit. And like in my business, I've poured back every dollar back into my business. Right. And that's why we're sitting here.
And your clients feel that.
Yes.
Like they come here, they sit in your green room. A stylist is working on them. They didn't have to organize that. You organize that. The reason you can organize that is your offer is valuable enough that you have the money to do that.
And I know that they need glam. I know that they need hair. I know that they need social media. Right. I know that they need photo shoots. I know every single piece of what it is they are going to need 10 steps ahead. I know they need a website. I know they need a lead magnet. I know they need a sales funnel. So there's nothing we can't do. But what do I anchor on is my high ticket, which is podcast, launch, and production.
Right. Okay. The rest of those things, you could find partners with that do that. Like if you don't want to do their website, I would just find whoever's doing CRM-based websites for real estate agents and say, listen, I'll partner with you. I'll drive all these clients. My clients are going to need somewhere to store these leads, or somewhere to make the lead magnet or the landing page. If you don't have to do that, you just have to deliver it to them. Same as the stylist. Like you're not a stylist, you have hired one, or you partner with one and they come do it.
That is a working part of our model, which some people misunderstand as I don't know what, but there's nothing wrong with contracting in people. And for example, if you need a website or a photo shoot and I'm organizing it, my team is organizing it and we are partnering with another company, there's nothing wrong with both of you making money off of that service, correct?
Right. You're solving someone's problem, right?
Exactly.
You're facilitating the solution to their problem.
That's right.
They trust you to do it. And that's what you're asking them to do is pay me this money and trust me that I will solve all of these problems. Right. I know who to call. I know how to do in order to do it so that you get leads on the other end or website visitors or whatever.
And what I've also found is my clients, and I'm hoping this is helpful for those of you that maybe are in a model like this where you work with different vendors is, regardless really, they like one bill. One bill broken down, you know, like, so for example, if you came in and you did a photo shoot plus you recorded 4 episodes of your podcast, so that's your monthly podcast production and management fee plus your photo shoot, it's itemized there for you. So you know what you paid for, right? But it's one bill. So versus, oh, well, you got to go pay Shannon and then you got to pay me. And, oh, I don't know. Did she send you the bill? They get frustrated. They don't like that. They want one bill broken down for everything they needed. Website, photo shoot, podcast production. Boom.
You're talking about the delay and effort components in Alex's value equation.
Yes.
Because they could get the same outcome by doing it themselves. or still outsourcing it to 8 different people, but there's way more effort involved in that.
Right.
So that's what you're getting. There's tons of money to be made in the delay and effort.
Yes. And the way I set up my business is, look, if you have your own social media team, we're happy to provide them with X number of clips or whatever to make sure that they have what they need from us. But I know we can do it better, first of all, because of the production turnaround times are faster than usual. There's a lot more to it. But at the end of the day, we don't require that they use all of our people, right? Like if you have your own photographer, you can just send me the photos, but I do need professional photos. But we have the incredible Shannon and she knows all about it and blah, blah, blah. So people love it. They love it. It's easy. It's turnkey for them.
Right. Delay and effort. If you could just ring their credit card and give them new clients, they'd pay even more for that.
Okay. So what are your other tips for us then? You can continue to use me as an example or go off on your own.
How are you communicating this offer to real estate agents? And correct me if you want to talk about a different vertical than real estate agents.
Yeah, no. It's just a great simple example that everyone can appreciate and understand. So again, this is where my business is growing and we're moving into a different territory, which is why I'm so happy you're here. I feel like I'm getting free consulting. This is so great.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
In exchange for glam shots of me on camera.
Let's go, glam shots. So how am I communicating this to real estate? The reality is right now it's all warm. It's all word of mouth.
Okay, now, let me pause you there.
Okay.
The lead gen is my business.
Yes, yes.
Literally everyone says, right now it's all word of mouth. Like that's some sort of bad thing. That's what you want. Like 1-to-1 warm in the core 4 of leads. 1-to-many, 1-to-1, cold to warm. 1-to-1 warm is your highest converting lead source because they know you already and you can speak to them in a very value-driven way 1-to-1. So there's nothing wrong. It's very good to have everyone coming word of mouth. So why do you phrase it seemingly in a negative way when you describe it to me?
So I think that based on the numbers that Mr. Alex Hormozi has presented, which is if you have a local market and you dominate it, then you are going to capture that market and you are going to be able to reach a 7-figure business with relative ease. So for me, because I have the studio, that's the big game changer, I think, for me. Because I have a brick and mortar now, that's changed things. So I'm like, wait a minute. I know for a fact, just in probably a 1 mile, forget 5-mile radius, even 1 mile radius, I know that if people knew about this magical space we've created, they would want to work with us. So I need to let them know somehow.
Okay. Yes.
And I know that there's ways, and we do participate in ways, like I sit on boards, right? I'm part of a country club, thank God. There's a number of ways that we step into the community, and we're meeting people all the time, through school, there's just so many different ways that me, my husband, my family's always meeting people, right? Mm-hmm. But what about the people that they don't have young kids? They're not at our soccer game, right? Yeah. What about, they're not playing tennis, right? They're just not where I'm at for whatever reason. I want to make sure that even those people know about me because we're still here for those people.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say word of mouth, kind of like in a sighing way, it's not that you're talking about one-to-one warm is not what you want to do. It's just you want to do more of it.
It's an and, not an or. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Because I am a strong proponent of the word of mouth. You just need to do more word of mouth.
Agreed.
So, and I'm glad we're fixating on this because in comparison to Google ads or any sort of digital ads, you're going to find far more success pumping one-to-one cold to bring them one-to-one warm than you would be spending money on ads. I think because this is local. And to convince a real estate agent to look at a Facebook ad and then click on it and then come to your landing page and then watch some of your videos, there's way more hoops they have to jump through than somehow you just intentionally, accidentally bumping into them and saying, hey, you real estate agent, I love working with real estate agents. We do this cool thing, podcasts. Like that, I think you can orchestrate far more success than just pouring money into ads.
So you would not run ads?
Personally, I wouldn't, because the recipes that I like using are all one-to-one warm, one-to-many warm. Like, far fewer people know about you than you think.
Right.
So your first goal is just making more of the people that you want to talk to, know what you do.
Right.
And the best way to do that is going to talk to them, because if you want to use this physical space, at some point they have to physically be here. So either they're going to fly in if they're your really high ticket clients,
right,
or they're going to be local. So you got to use your local advantage. Mm-hmm. And if you're competing for Google ad placement, anyone competes for that. Mm-hmm. Facebook, if you want to put a Facebook ad in front of them, you're competing against literally everyone that wants to put a Facebook ad in front of them. But if you go to their office, you compete against no one, because no one has the cojones to walk in anymore. So you'll be the only one there. I would take that gamble, because you're competing against no one. Facebook, you can compete against literally everyone. Email, literally everyone. Mail, less people, but still anyone. But you'd be the only one walking in.
So you think we should be walking in to businesses versus running ads? You would not run any ads?
If you were to ask me for my opinion of what I know you right now, yes, I would walk in. Why wouldn't you walk in? Why wouldn't you?
I want to say something really cool about the walk-in thing. This is a really crazy story. When I was the CEO of a company locally, I had somebody walk in my office and I had no idea who it was. And I was like, tell them, hold on, I'm in the middle of meeting with my finance team. Like, who the hell just came into my, because it was a private, financial company. And I walk out, meet the gentleman, and he ends up owning half of our town.
Okay.
And he said, I understand, I'm so-and-so, and I understand you walked through several of my buildings looking to move your organization. I have something I'd like to show you. And it was pouring rain and I was wearing my Louboutins, and I said, here we go. I ruined those shoes, but it was worth it. And I took that company from a 2,000 square foot office to a 12,500 and something, 600, almost, 2-story building, multi-year lease, 8-year lease, because he walked in. And he also brought me on the board of an organization that he founded.
I would definitely prioritize anything face-to-face, one-to-one.
Cool. All right.
You're charismatic. You're rather attractive. I'm not the first person to tell you that.
Bridget.
Right. Take advantage of these things, because if you just stick with digital advertising, you're losing some of that competitive advantage. Like, they'll get your charisma from the videos, but you're competing in a very saturated market with literally every other entertainment. So, but in person, it's just you and them. If you can get to a place where it's just you and them there for at least 30 seconds, they'll be paying attention before they zone out. That's way better competition than the internet. So I would start that. I would definitely do that. I mean, I'm doing it with Scott with the golf tournament tomorrow. We're going to get maybe a dozen. I'm managing his expectations. Maybe a dozen people will fit his ideal client profile. We'll meet in person so they'll know us. And we'll be lucky enough that they perceive enough of their problem to want to further the conversation. But a dozen people for $500 in half a day's worth of effort is killer for his sales funnel.
Yes.
And probably the same for you too, depending on what the ticket price is of your offer.
My golf game is terrible.
Oh, I played golf once, like years ago, and people see me, like, I've been, I don't know, 15 golf tournaments so far this year.
Wow.
I don't play. I stand at the tee box and I hustle to try and get leads. So that's it. You don't have to play. Don't play. Don't, like, if you play, you're in with 3 other people the whole day. That's a waste of time. I'm there to hunt leads. Like, we're going to have a table and tent at the tee box. That's what you want to be. I mean, if you want to do golf tournaments, and you could probably, like, you'll probably want to pick the chamber event would be good too. You're going to get gen pop of people like tomorrow. Otherwise, you go for a business association like LA County Realtors Association. There's dozens. So just find one of those realtor associations and sponsor that. That'd be good pickings for you.
Wow, that's
and then
great.
Have like 3 giant TVs with the battery pack. Scott will hook you up with that.
Yeah.
Like, usually at my events, we run TVs off the battery pack because my lead magnets on the TV is very visual. People love that. If you did that and showed, like, behind the scenes of this, before and after client transformation, those realtors probably know the realtor that you're working with.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, your realtor's taking advantage of the new social influence and, like, making money. And those other realtors will say, that's how this person's doing it.
Wow. I love that.
Then it'll work. And it's a very visual offer you're providing. It's visual, tied to the key metrics of website traffic or something, which can also be done nice and visually. So I would just bang that out.
I love that. Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your business before we wrap? Because this has been selfishly excellent. And we didn't even get to plug you because we just dove right on in. So tell us.
My goal for the last 2 years. So October 3rd, 2023, which is just over 2 years ago, my business coach told me to smarten up and read one of Alex's books. And it was at that moment, I was at the lowest point of my business. I had previously burned through $4 million of other people's money at a previous startup, killed that business because I was too afraid of sales. Then I started the company now, following that same path downwards, just like burning through time. I had 0 money at that point. So I was like, there was no money to burn through, which is a good thing. Then I smartened up and read Alex's first book and learned how to love sales. Sales is about solving people's problems in exchange for money. And as an engineer, that concept allowed me to love it, and not as like a swindly way of tricking people to pay you, but like solving people's problems.
Yes.
When that switch flipped for me.
Yes.
Now I like, when you introduce yourself, I'm like, what's this lady's problem she's trying to solve? What problem does she have now? And I'm just thinking about this, and I can't stop thinking about it because I love talking about it.
Yeah, because you love it. Because you love it.
I love it now. So in my world, I help people like Scott, which are IT service companies. They're the outsourced ID department for many small businesses. I help Scott grow his business by subversively helping him love sales, by coaching him and teaching him that sales is about solving people's problems in exchange for money.
Right.
And then I bring leads to him so that he can convert those leads to clients.
And how do you bring people leads typically, or companies?
My current
leads?
lead gen recipe for clients like Scott is a combination of cold calling, in-person events, direct mail, and a little bit of LinkedIn. I haven't unlocked the LinkedIn channel for him yet, but I'm experimenting. But right now, my dependable drivers are cold call. We have a very fun lead magnet. My business started by making that lead magnet, and now I help Scott put that into play to get the outcome. Because the lead magnet is sort of like your podcast. It's a means to the end.
Right.
So I could just sell the lead magnet. Like you could just rent this studio for podcasting, but I'm giving away the tools for 1/10 of the value. So instead I give away the whole thing. I'm going to deliver you leads, just like we're talking with you. Then I can charge 25 times the amount of money. And Scott loves it because he doesn't want to do any of the work.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm cold calling with my lead magnet, direct mail with my lead magnet, in-person events like tomorrow's golf tournament. He's going to crush it. And then a little bit of LinkedIn. That's how I'm getting him at least 5 first-time appointments per month. And from there, statistically, as long as he doesn't sneeze at the wrong time, he can nurture them through a sales process and grow his business.
Wow, that's so cool.
If I could deliver him signed contracts, I would. I haven't figured that out yet, but I think about that constantly. Because if I could deliver him signed contracts, then he would effectively just pay me, and I give him a signed contract. He'd be happy. He'd love that too. It's like
Well, you could train his sales organization is what you could do.
Yeah.
You could sell a framework or a process.
I lust after getting delay and effort to zero. In the value equation of outcome times confidence divided by delay and effort, I'm trying to get, for everyone, delay and effort to zero.
Right.
Because if I can get that to zero, it's infinite value for Scott.
Right.
So if I could deliver him signed contracts, I would. I haven't figured that out yet, but give me
I think
a
it should be sales scripts and sales frameworks, but we can talk about that.
That's the practical solution. Because for Scott's business, him being local is his competitive advantage. So it's not like I can remove him from the sales process. He has to be there. So I can't give him a signed contract with a new client because he's got to be involved. And so practically that means coaching him. There's a lot of nuance in that because Scott's pretty charismatic, but some of my potential clients, they're not. So this is a huge challenge for me, but they don't perceive that to be valuable because they haven't realized that they're a big part of the problem. And I mean this empathetically. Right. They're a big part of the problem. If they don't perceive they're a big part of the problem, they ain't paying to solve it.
Right. I understand.
So this is where right now the sweet spot for me is just deliver leads.
Yes.
We both agree of what a qualified lead should be for them, so they don't accuse me of delivering bad leads. But that's my offer. At least 5 qualified first-time appointments per month, $5,000. It's a killer offer for them. They love it.
Love that. Yeah. That's so cool. Well, congratulations on all your success. I love
We're just getting started, Kimberly.
Yes, we are. And it's been super fun getting to know you. And also thank you for consulting with me. And I hope that this has been helpful just so that people can really understand what goes into building out an offer that is scalable. That's super. It's not easy to do. We're tweaking. You tweak, I tweak, we fail, we get up, we fail, we brush each other off.
Yeah.
We cry, we drink, we laugh, we golf, we do everything together. And that's entrepreneurship.
I think it's really, I've been learning this the hard way. I think it's really important for business owners like us to do these behind the scenes stories because it's easy for our clients to think that we're charging them money. Like we're just charging them money.
Right.
But we are constantly thinking about how to deliver value to you in exchange for money. Yes, this is not a charity. I'm doing this in exchange for money.
Yes.
My goal is to make 10 times the amount of, give them a 10x return on anything they pay me.
That's right.
And like if Scott's not doing my done for you offer, but my done for you clients, they pay me $5,000 a month. They're going to make way more than 10x.
Right.
Like I'm still underselling it because I'm developing it, but that's my threshold in my mind. And it's probably it can be very similar equation for you. Like a real estate agent is going to make 100 G's off one home sale. So if you can get them one new home sale, it's more than paying for you. And the more you can quantify that through your capture the metrics, and you're going to do it for a year until you have a good trail of metrics, then you can say, okay, it's going to be $50,000 a month, and you're going to make $500,000 off of this, but you're going to pay me $50,000.
Yeah.
That's still
everybody
fine.
Wins.
Right.
Everybody wins.
Could give them, if you said, okay, cut away all the fun fluff, you pay me 50 and I'm going to make you 500. Here's 30 other people I've done this for. Do you want this deal? They would say, yes. How often can I do this with you? Right. That's a 10x return is killer.
Right.
And the more that you can just capture that with social proof and testimonials and track record, the higher you can charge. The shorter you can do it, the higher you can charge. If delay and effort is 0, you charge an infinite amount of money. Yep.
That's so awesome. I'm so pumped. I can't wait to go out and start knocking on doors.
Yeah, definitely. Like think about how you I think you're still noodling on how you want to communicate the offer.
Yes.
The more that you can, it doesn't have to be like super geeky numeric, but it's got to be a metric that they can agree on so that you both can manage expectations. And then that's the outcome is I'm going to do this exact thing for you. It's going to take me 90 days. I'm going to need you to buy in with a little bit of delay and effort. It's going to take me 90 days. I'm going to deliver this outcome. And based on my track record, you're going to make X amount of money off of this, 10X what you pay me. When can you start? I have a wait list. When do you want to start?
Yep.
That's it.
I love it.
And then when you walk in, you got to choose the targets that you're going to walk into so that messaging works for them. But I really think that's your best bet because it's very visual. And you don't want to compete against all the other video content and edutainment on the internet. You want to talk to them one-to-one. You got the local advantage, so I would run that.
Love it. Awesome. Am I going to get a bill after this? Because this was worth it.
I'm getting a kick out of this. I love this. We could do this for hours.
Seriously. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure,
thank you, Mike. You can call me Bridget, whatever. I'll respond to both. But thank you everyone for watching and listening. By the way, if you are not watching us, you're missing out. And we are on YouTube. So that is at Iconic Nation Media. It's all on all the social bios. It's very easy to access. But otherwise, we appreciate you guys listening. Please rate, subscribe, all the goodness, and, follow Mike. So thank you so much. Where can they follow you?
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. You could be the 20th subscriber.
Hey, we got to start somewhere.
20. It's called Cyber Confidential. Because all of my stuff is like Iceberg Cyber. I got my product's called the Cyber Score. So Cyber Confidential was a fun thing. If you want to see fun videos of me doing, so my industry niche is managed service provider, MSP. So I've been doing a fun thing on the MTV Cribs spinoff of MSP Cribs, like my client Scott. So if you want to see like me walking around tech offices, Cyber Confidential on YouTube, or like my biggest channel is LinkedIn, Michael Bakaic, Bakaic. Find me on LinkedIn.
And we will add it to our show notes. Thank you so much.
Right on, Kimberly.
Bye. All right. That is it for today. Thank you very much for listening. And be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening and we look forward to catching you next week.